If you are taken on a private jet and forced to play dangerous truth games that can drive you mentally insane, what would you do? You're stuck 30,000 feet above ground, where all of your deepest, darkest secrets are about to be revealed. I'm going to break down the mistakes made, what you should do, and how to beat the truth game in Panic Button. These young people are about to find out the dangers of social media. Walking through the airport, this mysterious kid, Max, approaches this woman, Jo, and asks if she's a fellow contestant. They introduce themselves, realizing they've both won a free trip to New York, and walk off to meet the other contestants. She meets Dave here, who's a businessman, and this ditzy lady, Gwen, as Max brings out a complimentary bottle of champagne, pouring it for his fellow contestants. That's when Dave comments on Jo's child, telling her that he checked out the girl's profile on altogether.com, the website offering them this chance of a lifetime. It's creepy, but Gwen insists that she shouldn't worry about the man, revealing that he's getting married next month. She then turns to Max and asks the kid why he hasn't put anything on his profile. Max admits that he just keeps to himself, and Dave here decides to pour out another glass of champagne for his fellow contestant. But an announcement interrupts their celebrations, congratulating them for winning an all-expense-paid trip to New York. The announcer continues by explaining that they'll be provided with some unique in-flight entertainment, but they need to keep their mobile phones off throughout the flight, or else face being disqualified from the competition. That's when the voice informs them that their private jet has arrived and it's time for them to go. Arriving on the runway, this worker asks to collect their phones. Jo here explains that she needs it to talk with her daughter, but is told that she'll be refused entrance if the girl doesn't hand it over. The worker sympathizes with her and convinces Jo to give her phone up, preparing this young group of people for an experience that's about to turn deadly. The car drives to their private jet, and the group are shocked by what they've gotten themselves into. Checking out the inside, Max watches as the worker puts their luggage into the trunk of their limousine. Dave rushes to the private bar as this lizard on the monitor explains that they've been selected to test their exclusive social networking games, offering even more prizes if they win. Dave flirts with the ditzy lady before she excuses herself to the bathroom. Walking in, she's shocked by the amenities provided. Meanwhile, the others check out this strange red light, wondering what it could be used for. It's the first time that something is wrong, and they're about to find out why. Okay, these people all think they've won the trip of a lifetime, but what they're about to realize is that this is actually the flight from hell. Having said that, this could have been easily avoided if they hadn't been so willing to trade their lives for free champagne and a quick trip to New York. The first warning sign here is that this is a very mysterious contest. Nobody has fully explained any important details such as why we were chosen or what the conditions are for accepting the invitation. They've told us this is a competition, but we don't know what the game is or what we are competing for. This is always a bad sign because it probably means telling us in advance would risk us choosing not to participate. So far, all we know is that it's a free trip to New York, and in this situation, I would definitely want to ask questions before going onto an international flight I haven't booked myself. Now, although the plane is a privately chartered jet, the airport looks like it has enough foot traffic that there would have to be a normal security check-in. Regardless of the size of the airport, those traveling internationally all have to go through some sort of security checkpoint. Another really weird thing about this contest is that these individuals think that they're going to New York for the weekend. Now, it's important to point out that the flight to New York from London takes on average 6 to 8 hours. That means if we subtract the standard 7 to 8 hours of sleep we should be getting each night, these people will only have about 17 hours total to be in New York City, many of which the contestants will be suffering jet lag since London is 5 hours ahead. Whoever has planned this trip doesn't exactly have luxury in mind. That's why if they were me, before going on the flight, I would try to make contact with someone at the airline to confirm that the flight I'm getting on is legitimate. Air travel is a highly monitored activity, especially international air travel, and there would have to be some sort of paper trail to tell me where this flight is going and who is operating it. Regardless of where you are traveling from, when you check into a flight, the airport confirms your identity and flight details. Check-in is usually run by members of the airline, so it's possible those in charge of the trip could lie to us, but before boarding, you also must have your documents confirmed by TSA, which is operated by an independent company outside of the airline. I would ask someone at TSA to look into my flight to make sure nothing fishy is up. I would also ask them to tell me the individuals who own the plane and who is operating it. If for whatever reason this plan isn't working, then the smartest thing to do is to call the company that is hosting the trip directly in order to confirm that these details are in fact true. Doing this might reveal that this trip is not what we all think it is, and that boarding this flight would be one of the worst and last decisions we'd make. Gwen walks out to praise the amazing bathroom while the announcer tells them to get ready for takeoff. The plane flies off, and they're informed that smoking is not allowed anywhere inside the vehicle. Jo questions how long the flight will take, and Max here estimates that it'll be around 6 hours at maximum speed. Dave gets up, pretending to fall over from the turbulence. He laughs at Gwen's worried face and walks over to the private bar, offering the group a glass of champagne. Later, they share drinks, and the announcer reveals that it's time for the first game. Reading the terms and conditions, Dave instantly accepts, encouraging the others to skip ahead to the game. The announcer tells them that the game must be played to the end, and if they disrupt the flow of the game, they'll be punished. Continuing, he explains that each contestant will be asked a question based on their profile, and Dave will be the first to go. The first question asked is how many goals the man has scored this year in his Sunday football league. Dave brags, answering 9, and is then asked if he has any tattoos. Dave admits that he has one on his back that says sitter in Japanese. The last question asked is a picture puzzle. The monitor shows a photo of this blonde girl, and the announcer asks if he can identify who she is. Shocked, the man looks at the monitor, pretending not to know the answer, and asks to skip the question. Suddenly, the announcer tells him that he answered every question wrong, revealing that he assaulted a fellow football player and was banned. Next, he mentioned that Dave had his scrotum pierced 3 years ago, but has no tattoos. Then the announcer tells him that this picture is of a student that Dave slept with recently. Surprised, Max reminds the man that he's about to get married. The group celebrates his terrible secrets being uncovered, and Jo is picked as the next target. Her first question asks how many units of alcohol she drinks per week. Confused, she replies with 20 units. The next question asks her to identify her own profile on a dating website. The last question is given, asking why she deactivated her social media profile for a 3-month period. She takes a look around the room, confessing that she was in rehab for a drinking problem. That's when the announcer tells her that question 2 and 3 were correct, but the real answer to question 1 was 30 units of alcohol per week. Max is the next to be picked. He's asked what level of classical violin he's reached, and quickly answers. The next question tells him to confess which social media profile he visits the most, but he pretends not to know the answer. The final question asks him to reveal the first item he bought from playtogether.com. The man has no idea what to say, but the monitor shows a bottle of genital wart solution, and Max insists he never bought it. The announcer reveals that every answer was a lie, and the contestant goes quiet, angry that he's been exposed. Gwen is up next, and she comments that these questions are too personal, but the announcer reminds them the game must be completed to win prizes. She decides to continue, and her first question is what famous character she's most often compared to. Confused, she doesn't give an answer, and the next question asks who this is a picture of. Gwen pretends not to know, and the announcer moves on, asking what her username Guardian Angel means. She tells him that it's random, but the voice calls her out, revealing that she lied on 2 of the questions. The school kid was a student that she used to bully on an All Together page, and that her username is from a professional counseling forum. The announcer has just revealed the woman's hypocrisy, but soon things are going to escalate to violence. Okay, this game is really twisted. The contestants here are having their dirty laundry revealed to complete strangers without any explanation why, and have no idea how the point system works or how they will win or lose the game. To make matters worse, they've given up their cell phones and have no way of contacting anyone down on the ground. They've made a horrifying mistake by not reading the terms and conditions, and if it were me, I would definitely have asked more questions by now. At this point, we know that all the contestants have things about them they'd rather not have revealed. Whoever's doing this has to have some sort of ulterior motive behind torturing us each individually with their own internet history. To try to figure out the host's motivation, I would start corroborating with my fellow passengers about what we all have in common to narrow down why we've been specifically chosen. The person in charge of the contest is acting like they are operating on behalf of the website alltogether.com, and is using our internet behavior against us. For this reason, I would start to see where our social circles and lives overlap online. The information that they have on me is from the internet and is also linked to alltogether.com. So trying to figure out why this website is our cover story could be important for learning who the host is as well. I would cross-question everyone on their friends and family, and then check what colleges and universities we've all gone to. It's possible that we could be targeted for some sort of group we are a part of or some test we have taken online. If we have any commonalities, we can then try to draw conclusions about what the host wants from us. So far, the host has made a point to reveal our darkest secrets and try to expose to everyone that we are all bad people one way or another. This would lead me to believe that this is someone that has a vendetta against us and is trying to seek revenge. The only issue is that the host doesn't have anything to gain by revealing these secrets to a group of random individuals, so I would also have to believe that we are all in more immediate danger, or we are on some sort of game show that's recording us and streaming the file elsewhere for others to see. I would first try to appeal to the host, asking them why we are here and if there are any wrongs we could rectify. Then, if the host doesn't give up his ruse and carries on pretending we are a part of a game, I would ask more questions about the specifics of the game to try to catch him in a lie. We can try to get straight to the point of why we are here. Lastly, I would quietly try to start collecting items that I think would help me in case the situation turns violent. I would start by looking in the bar cart to see if there's any silverware or cutlery like forks and knives. Then I would look for an emergency kit to see if there are any heavy objects like a fire extinguisher or an axe. Although my fellow passengers could be allies to me in my fight against the host, they could also be enemies and very dangerous, since I don't know what else is about to be revealed about them. Relieved, the group questions how much these games are going to reveal, while Dave here wonders how they found the picture he was given. Max reminds them that they're here to win and insists they pour another drink. Gwen jokes that Dave should show them his piercing, but he doesn't take it as a joke, telling the woman not to mention it again. Later, Joe here stares out of the plane window, commenting that the weather was predicted to be clearer. The group wonders why it isn't snowing, and they brush it off as a simple mistake. That's when the announcer tells them to get ready for Game 2, Truth or Lie. The group sits down, and the monitor shows the millions of users Altogether.com contains, explaining that these are used for both taking shelter and showing off. The group looks around confused, but that's when the announcer shows a horrifying video of someone being killed. Joe is questioned on whether she recognizes it, and the girl pretends not to know. The announcer tells her that she's a liar, showing the exact date and time 2 months ago where she watched it. He continues by saying that she sent the video to 5 of her friends, showing the exact title that shows Joe here is much more disturbed than she seems. The girl storms off, wondering how much this game is going to reveal. Max insists that they won't play, but the announcer reminds them that he won't win any prizes by quitting early. Gwen is the next to be chosen, and is shown a questionnaire asking what kind of lover are you, with multiple choice answers. The announcer tells her that she recently completed this test, forcing her to reveal that she was labeled a kinky lover. That's when he announces that the test was wrong, and she lied in some of her answers. Question 4, the lover test asked, how many people have you slept with? Gwen insists that it's none of their business, even though it's on the girl's profile. Suddenly, the announcer reveals a forum which she regularly frequents, proving that she's never been with anyone before, and explains that they have records of every single website they visited in the past few months. Dave accuses them of lying, but that's when it's revealed that he's been watching messed up videos only recently. Dave tells the announcer to stop while he continues to uncover more disturbing things about the man. Shocked, he tries to bring Max into the conversation, but the kid refuses to be a part of his game. Dave looks around to see everyone in disgust, and the man gets up to have a word with the pilot. He demands they open up the door, but Dave is warned to sit back down. The announcer explains that he will now be given a punishment for breaking the rules. His Altogether profile is shown on screen, and they visit one of his friends called Rory, showing this creepy video. They all watch as someone walks into his house with a shotgun and shoots his friend dead. The others are shocked, but the man laughs it off, insisting that it's a fake video, and his friend must be in on it. The announcer continues with their game, while Max here tries to send an email to someone outside of the plane, but that was his biggest mistake. Okay, things have gone from bad to worse. Not only does the announcer have all my private information, but he knows exactly who my friends and family are and is prepared to kill them at any moment. The announcer's motive makes absolutely no sense yet, because none of the game show contestants are particularly wealthy, nor has the announcer asked for something as a trade-off for their lives. The most likely solution is something that we have said or done that we are being punished for if we do not find anything else in common that could be linking us together somehow. It's not looking good, but there's actually something the contestants can do to help protect themselves. Although the host is threatening to hurt friends and family on the ground, it would benefit all the contestants if we search for all the cameras and destroy them. The announcer has some sort of ulterior motive, even though we don't know what it is yet, and knowing that he must have one gives us more control over the situation. We know this because none of us are dead yet, and he's trying to make an example out of us and is yet to get to his point. We've all been off our guard for the entire game, and it would have been easy for him to have just killed us once we were mid-flight. Making it harder for him to get to his hidden objective gives us more control over the situation and keeps us alive for longer. He also possibly has control over the pilot of the plane, and unless we can find a way to have contact with the pilot without the announcer intervening, he can kill us at any moment. Right now, all the power is in his hands. By disarming all the cameras, he no longer is able to see what we're doing, and we will be able to either reason with the pilot or break into other parts of the plane without the announcer knowing. The main problem with this plan is that the announcer has control over the contestants' friends and family on the ground. But let's be honest, the contestant didn't read the terms and conditions, and the announcer has already killed someone due to one infraction. At this point, there's really just the illusion of control over what's happening on the ground, when in reality, there's no way for the contestants to know exactly how to play based on the rules of the game. If it were me, I'd rather place my bets on trying to save my life than toe the line and watch my family die anyway. The first thing that needs to happen is that everyone on the plane needs to get on the same page. This is going to be difficult because everyone on the plane has an allegiance to someone on the ground, but if I can convince them that they really have no control over the situation and they're going to die anyway, and we have to save ourselves, then taking out the cameras allows us all to quietly divide and conquer. This will force the announcer to either show his hand earlier and attempt to kill us right there, or he will try to coerce us back to the game. This will give us the opportunity to have one person pretend they are on his side and talk to him, trying to strike a deal with the announcer, while the others try to speak to the pilot through the door. Max is punished for breaking the rules laid down in the terms and conditions. Now, the announcer tells Max that he will have to lose a friend. The monitor scrolls through his friends list while the group begins freaking out about the situation. The announcer informs Max that he'll be showing a video of his friend Alan. Suddenly, the monitor shows him getting beaten up before the man is thrown down a fire escape. Furious, Max gets up and accuses them of killing innocent people. The announcer informs the group that this is simply a punishment for breaking the rules, and it will be even worse if they break them again. That's when Joe here spots a landmark, realizing that they're flying over Ireland and going in the wrong direction. They're not headed for New York at all, and have been lied to every step of the way. Max begins looking around the room, finding this TV, and ripping it from the wall. He explains that this must be the information screen, and it gives him a clever idea. The man looks around for the power cable, finding and attaching it to the information monitor. That's when they're shocked to discover that their suspicions were correct, and are clearly headed to Oslo. Confused, Max suggests that the company who paid for their trip isn't Altogether.com. Dave doesn't understand what he's saying, but the kid is sure they need to find the pilot and stop this now. Gwen gets up